We're talking Philly sports.
The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
And New York sports.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
And the unique history and relationship between the two cities. With Mike Carr.
You're so money and you don't even know it.
And Adam Turkel.
I agree. Nobody's madder about than I am. They're going to say that, and I'm going to look at them and say, hi, you're right.
This is the Battle for I-95 podcast, starting now.
All right, welcome to the Battle for I-95 podcast. And as always, we are brought to you by Easy Moving. Moving is hard. It sucks. But do it the easy way. Servicing Fairfield and removal in New York. I am the Turk, Adam Turkel, coming to you today from my illustrious kingdom. Mike is running behind schedule, hoping he'll join us soon. But we'll kick it off today, and we'll talk about a couple of things that are near and dear to my heart. I'm going to start things off today by going right to the NFL for something that I consider a little unusual. And, how else could I talk about the New York Jets without talking about unusual? The franchise that just refuses to do things in a normal way, that just refuses to do things in the order in which they should be done, and that doesn't seem to understand why good franchises are good franchises and why they are not run like a good franchise. Today on this date, and Happy New Year to everyone, by the way, this is January 3rd of 2025. Go figure. The Jets interviewed Mike Vrabel, had him in the building today for an interview. Now, you might say to me, well, Turk, they fired Rob Saleh, and they fired Joe Douglas, the GM, and they're looking for a new coach. Why is this unusual? I'm going to tell you why it's unusual. Because week 17 hasn't concluded yet. And you still have someone on the practice field next to the building coaching a team. That's number one. Poor Jeff Ulbrich, the interim head coach for the Jets. Number two, you haven't hired a GM yet. So my question becomes, is the dysfunction of the New York Jets going to continue? Are we going to hire the head coach who will answer directly to Woody Johnson, and then the GM who will also answer directly to Woody Johnson, without a proper chain of command of head coach answering the general manager because the general manager didn't hire him and Woody Johnson did? My statement here is not about who they're interviewing. I actually like Mike Vrabel, and to be quite frank, that's my choice. That's if I can get Vrabel in the building and I can get him to coach my team, he brings a few things. Number one, he brings experience of a winner, having played for the Bill Belichick Patriots and winning a bunch of Super Bowls. Number two, hard-nosed linebacker type of guy that's going to take no bullshit from anybody. And that's something that, considering all the bullshit that's been in the Jets building, that really appeals to me. Number three, a man who has won even with a subpar quarterback. And, you're talking about a guy that, granted, they lost in the playoffs, but he did get at one point the number one seed with Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. And Tannehill was never good anywhere except for with Vrabel. And it's because of the system they ran to fit his skill set. Obviously, they had the great running game at the time with Derrick Henry, and they played good, solid defense, which is a moniker that I would expect from him. Now, a lot of people want an offensive coach. They prefer an offensive mind. You know what? At this point, the Jets just need an adult in the building. I mean, they need someone with credibility. They need someone who is going to maintain discipline, who is going to have rules, structure, and the knowledge of how to win close, tight games, and also have the knowledge of when your team maybe is a little not up to snuff to your opponent, how to stay in the game and give yourself an opportunity to win. It's always been my thought in the world of coaching that your biggest job as a head coach is to get the most out of your players and put them in a position to be successful. To be successful in the sport of football is to win. So no matter how you have to do it, whether it's via the running game, the passing game, defensively, trick plays, whatever you got to pull out of your sleeve to keep that game within earshot to get to the fourth quarter. To me, that more than anything defines a head coach. Part of that is also knowing when to put your foot on their throat when they're down and how to snuff the game out, how to be able to keep possession, how to run the ball, how to be tough, how to not commit stupid penalties, and not give your opponent a chance to get up off the map. It's hard to teach a team how to win. It's hard to be consistent at it. But I think Mike Vrabel has proven in his time with the Tennessee Titans that he's up to that task. We know the man is familiar with winning, and his age, being in his 40s, 49, I believe at this point, makes him a long-term viable solution. Now, there's other candidates out there as well. One of them is not Bill Belichick, because the Jets said, "We don't need you, Bill." That was a smart move. So Bill Belichick's in North Carolina. Another possible candidate would be Pete Carroll, who people forget is floating out there, was an advisor with Seattle this year after losing his job as the HC last year. Pete Carroll did have a run around the bush with the Jets for a season, but that was back pre-Woody. I mean, this is how long ago we're talking. Leon Hess owned the team. One season, 8-8, and he got ousted. That was his first year as a head coach, his first trip around the sun, as they say. And did he get a really fair shake? No. It could be in Pete Carroll's interest in his own mind to want to have a redemption stop with the Jets. Maybe unfinished business. One thing we know about Pete Carroll is he runs a tight ship. He had a top-notch defense in Seattle. He groomed a young quarterback. Russell Wilson was smart enough to pick him over the guy that they paid a bunch of money to that never played again, and had a culture. Listen to the word I just used, people. Culture. Culture is as important in football as in any sport. Culture of acceptable and unacceptable things. What your team will tolerate and what they won't. And the enforcer of this is the head coach. He is the creator of culture within your clubhouse. He's the one that, if the leaders follow, are going to follow him and have the others follow them to believe in the way he does things. Now, both of these choices, which are my top two choices, have downfalls. The downfalls of both choices is that neither one of them is particularly offensively geared. Is that the end of the world? No. It makes it more difficult, though, because even if you get yourself a capable offensive coordinator, and if that offensive coordinator excels after 2 years or so, you ain't going to have him no more. He's going to get a job somewhere as an HC. So in the modern day of football, the way it's done now, it's much different than it was, say, 40 years ago or even 30 years ago in the 90s. Back in the 90s, it was strictly about leaders of men. A defensive head coach was not only, okay, it was probably preferred, as to where now the innovation of the NFL with all the rules and everything over the last 30, 40 years is more geared to offense. And boy, one thing I know is the Jets are offensively challenged. The Jets have had offensive problems for years, including this year with Aaron Rodgers. And it was better this year a little bit in some ways, but the team wasn't as good. So the Jets, in my eyes, are already going backwards to go forwards. They're looking to interview head coaches before they have a GM in the building who should be interviewing the head coaches. But for the love of God, at least pick the right head coach. Another rumor around town, though created by himself, is Rex Ryan. the former HC of the MYJ, who showed them their last successful period of time 15 years ago. That Jet team was a defensive stalwart with ground and pound. Run the ball, play defense, wait for the other team to make mistakes, capitalize on those mistakes. Rex's teams were good. I think Rex gets bashed a little too much for the Jet downfall that followed those 2 seasons, and I really put it more on Woody for firing Mike Tannenbaum and bringing in, my God, Idzik, the worst choice ever for a general manager, a guy who was in charge of Seattle's travel, got the GM job. And to me, that's submarine Rex Ryan and the Jets. I mean, listen, there's things Rex has done when he was with the Jets that weren't favorable. One of the most notable ones was probably putting Mark Sanchez back in the game during an exhibition game against the New York Giants, the freaking Snoopy Bowl, because he wanted to win the game in a game that didn't matter, and he lost Sanchez for the season for that. Another problem with Rex is you want to talk about offensively clueless. It's probably even he just doesn't care. Like, to him, it's all about his defense. So Rex is like a one-sided coin. I don't know if he's the logical choice. And I haven't heard any talking about him being up for an interview other than from him broadcasting himself on his, show on ESPN, stating that he wants an interview and wants the job and wants to talk to Mr. Johnson. I don't think going backwards is going forwards. And while I like Rex and I don't give him as much blame as many others gave him for the downfall of that time period, I don't know if going back that way is right. But there is a way it could work. Next on the candidate choices will probably be Brian Flores. Former head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Never really won anything. Had a 10-6 and 9-7 year. Lost his job because he was unable to get along with players and there were issues within the building. And I would like to hope that he learned from that he grew as a coach. One thing you get with him is you get solid defense. Another defensive guy. Again, winning culture coming from New England's heydays. Was around Belichick. Knows what it takes to win and lose. There's a few choices out there. The best choices the Jets could have made were gone last year when they didn't fire Rob Saleh when they should have. But there's a few options out there. To me, the home run is Vrabel. You're not getting an offensively savvy guy unless you go for like a Cliff Kingsbury. And I don't know if I want Kingsbury. He had one shot at it already, and it didn't work out too good for him. Another selection possibility for the Jets is Aaron Glenn. Now, again, defensive guy, has done a great job defensively in Detroit, has coached under Dan Campbell's culture, so I'm sure he's, with his own personality, kind of learned how to motivate. The positive of Aaron Glenn is that he's a former Jet who had a good career here and understands New York, understands the New York media, understands probably what's expected and what the penalty is going to be if it goes south. But again, none of these guys, except for Kingsbury, are offensively minded. They're not going to get the offensive coordinator from Detroit. Number one, wouldn't think it'd be a good idea because I really think the Jets need an established head coach. They need someone with a resume, someone who knows how to be the head coach. I don't think that they're in a position where they can experiment with a what if. What if this guy isn't a leader of men? They've gone with offensive guys before that proved poor leadership, like Adam Gase. It really comes down to what kind of team the Jets have. Now, the Jets have a lot of decisions going forward to make. First and foremost, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers now, I'm going to say this. Did he have a great year? No. Were there times that he could have made winning plays where the Jets could have scraped up 5 more wins already this year? Yes. Yes. However, they have had much worse quarterback play in the past. His overall numbers are actually pretty good. There aren't many options for next year if they don't get a top draft pick.
Are you okay too?
My watch talking to me. That was just great. Awesome. But back to the subject at hand. You look at the way the Jets are with Aaron Rodgers with the decision. The first thing you have to look at is what's the better option. As constituted right now, the Jets going to probably be picking somewhere around 5 or 6. They're not going to get one of the 2 better quarterbacks. And they did draft the Florida State quarterback last year who was injured now for the year. And I really don't know how they view him future-wise. I don't know if they think if he could be the heir apparent. And if he is, do you keep Rodgers for another year? Now, again, I'm not in the business of defending Aaron Rodgers. But I will say this. He didn't have a lot of help this year. He's coming off a brutal injury at 40-plus years old, an Achilles injury. It obviously took him a while just to get his legs under him. And then once he did, he didn't look all that bad. Is he exactly what he was? Is he MVP Rodgers? No. But the Jets have enough talent to where if he's a good quarterback, they can be successful and be a playoff team. Now, a lot of baggage comes with Mr. Rodgers, as we've learned over the course of this season, between McAfee appearances, between ayahuasca retreats or going on vacations to Egypt and training camp and being opinionated and all things. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care about that stuff. I care about how you ball. Can he be better next year than this year? Absolutely. 1 year removed from surgery, full trust of his legs. Instead of a full offseason of rehab, a full offseason of getting ready. The Jets getting a proper coach in there. Getting the line to be right for once. Able to run the ball to make it easier for Aaron. Fix the interior of the damn defensive line that you gutted when you wanted Hassan Reddick. Can the Jets be competitive next year with the right coach with Aaron Rodgers? Absolutely. But we all know Rodgers isn't the future. And that is a decision that should be left with the new head coach and general manager. You still don't have a general manager. And that's part of the problem. So the Jets continue to operate slightly backwards, slightly sideways, every way but forwards, according to traditional way of thinking. But they've started their process before the season has even ended. And I get wanting to get a jump on it, but poor Jeff Ulbrich is the interim HC, and there's people in the building next to him while he's practicing, interviewing for his job. I mean, can you get a worse look than that? Can you get a worse look? Could you have made your appointment to interview Vrabel Monday after Sunday's game when you fire Ulbrich? I mean, yeah, you could have. So I always question how this organization decides to operate and run its things. And it just never seems to be in the way it should be done. I digress. I obviously am not an NFL coach. I'm obviously not an NFL billion-dollar team owner. I don't get to make these choices, neither do you. But man, when other teams that are successful do it a certain way and it works, shouldn't you follow their lead? Shouldn't you see that while your way will have some differences, that you should basically try to follow their map? And I would think the simplest thing of all to know is you should have a GM before you have a head coach. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's just, It's just the way it should be. Chain of command matters, especially in a sport like football. So the Jets currently sitting at a robust 4-12. Will play this week against the Miami Dolphins, who are still in the playoff hunt. Unbelievable. The Jets are eliminated. They look like garbage. And here's Miami, who started with no quarterback for their first few weeks and looking as bad as you could have looked. And if Miami wins and Denver loses, Miami can still get in the playoffs. Unbelievable. The Jets need to go win the game and not worry about the draft pick. Your draft pick ain't going to be high enough to get a highly rated quarterback anyway. Go eliminate Miami from the playoffs. That's what I want to see. We'll get back to more football after when we talk about football picks in the final week of the NFL. Now let's talk a little New York basketball. The New York Knickerbockers. Let me tell you something. I haven't enjoyed watching my basketball team play this much in a long time. And I had fun watching them last year. And 2 years before that, when they got the 4 seed for the first time in 8 trillion years and got to the playoffs. But this year, it feels a little different. When the season started, I told Mike, I want to give 20, 30 games to see where the Knicks are at, how they're gelling as a team. I like to call Anthony Towns trade. I wanted to see how he would fit here. And boy, oh boy, has he fit. He is fit like a glove. Last night against the Utah Jazz, Karl Anthony Towns put up yet another 30-point, 20-plus rebound game. Unbelievable. First guy since Patrick Ewing to do that in multiple games. Josh Hart had his third straight triple-double. Unbelievable. And the Knicks played last night's game with no Jalen Brunson. Banged up, pulled quad, sitting out. And you figure, okay, Knicks would be okay with Deuce McBride. Right before the game, you find out Deuce can't play either. He's hurt too. Now, I've watched this team for a long time. And in the past, whenever the Jets, oh my God, sorry, the Knicks lose a point guard, it's disaster. Back when they first started getting good 4 years ago, if Derrick Rose wasn't playing, you were like, oh my God, no, I got to watch Eldred Payton play now. And this is going to be terrible. And sure enough, Eldred Payton, nice defensive player, good team guy, can't score in a whorehouse. So Payton was not what you wanted to see, and you knew that you were probably going to lose the game. You knew everything was in jeopardy. But the Knicks are so deep now that they could lose Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride for a game, who's your backup point guard, start campaign, and go beat Utah by 20 points. Tyler Kolek, who is in the G League, who's their draft pick this year out of Marquette, played 37 minutes during the day, had a huge game for the G League Knicks, the Westchester Knicks, and then was brought up to the big team to back up campaign and played 12 minutes in the night game. And played well. So the Knicks have depth that I haven't seen in 2 decades. The Knicks last year encountered a bunch of injuries. 4 starters. And we saw what that did to them at the end of the year in the playoffs. It made the Philadelphia series tougher. And they lost in 7 to an Indiana team that, even injured, I felt they should have beaten. If this team loses a couple of guys, they can still score points. The Knicks have 4 starters who have all at one point or another scored 40 points this year. Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby. Josh Hart has become a triple-double machine. I mean, the man is 6'4" and is averaging double-digit rebounds in a league of trees. And to say that's impressive would be an understatement. What he has done is, it's his name. It's all heart. He plays every possession, offensive and defensive, like it's the most important possession of the game. In reality, people say, the turning point for the Knicks was when they made the trade last year for OG Anunoby. And to go with that, the statistic is, since the trade for OG Anunoby, in games that OG plays, the Knicks are 43-13. That is a hell of a record. But I look at the time they got Josh Hart, where they put some heart and soul into the team. And his hustle factor that can't be statistically measured is way beyond his 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. It's way more than that. He goes after loose balls. He gets rebounds amongst bigs. He's a damn good passer. Knows how to find the open guy. And when he gets his shot on a little bit, he'll hurt you. He'll knock some trees down. He knocked down a couple of threes in the game last night. I believe it was 3 in a row. Whatever you need him to do, he's going to give you. And that's the beauty of the 24-25 New York Knicks. They have a bunch of guys that at any given time, whoever the hot guy is the guy they're going to feed. He's the one that's going to get the points you need when you need them. And that is a very good thing to see. The Knicks are now 1-9 in a row, are sitting at 24-10. They are only a game behind the Boston Celtics for the 2 seed and 5 behind the Cavaliers, the 1 seed. Oh!
Good morning, everybody.
He's interrupting my show, ladies and gentlemen.
I figured I'd come in and interrupt right when I'm needed.
That's okay. I was just talking about your favorite subject, Mike, the New York Knicks.
Oh, all right, I'll log back off then.
Mike, I opened up with the New York Jets head coaching search. I'm going to touch that with you for a second first, because
Sure.
It's silly, okay?
Yeah.
So week 18, the 17th game hasn't kicked off yet. And yet Mike Vrabel's in the building getting interviewed today by the Jets. While Coach Ulbrich, the interim head coach, is coaching the team on the field downstairs in the same building.
Yeah.
While they still haven't hired a GM yet. Does anything look backwards to you, Mike?
Well, everything's backwards with the Jets, brother.
Thanks.
So, I mean, you guys need a coach for next year. So what's the difference?
But shouldn't the GM be the one hiring the coach, Mike? Shouldn't the GM be hiring a guy he could work with? Shouldn't the coach have chain of command to go to the GM instead of a direct door to the owner?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie's always hired the coach here too. So
who's the GM?
Roseman.
How long has he been there?
Depends how you look at it. But Roseman's been GM on and off for like the past 4 or 5 years. Wait, a little longer than that.
It's longer than that now. I think it's more like 6 or 7.
Because he's got moved to player personnel, the president.
He's still in the decision-making process, though.
True, yeah.
Okay, so you're going to tell me that he wasn't part of the decision of hiring Sirianni?
Oh, yeah.
Or hiring
yes,
Doug Peterson?
Yeah. I think he was the main guy for hiring Chips.
Oh, what? But still, he should. He's the GM. He should. So my point was more to this, Mike. It's not about who's in the building, because I'm going to be honest with you. Of all the candidates that are out there right now, Mike Vrabel's the guy I want. I don't think I'm going to get him, because I think that Vrabel's using the Jets as leverage to fire New England to force Mayo so that he can get the New England job, because he's from there. He won championships there.
Right.
He wants to be the New England head coach. Okay? That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's my opinion. Right? So, you got to remember, this is a man who hated the Jets for decades.
Right.
All right?
Yeah.
So the Jets are interviewing him in the building today before the season ends without a GM in the building. And after Vrabel, where do you look? I mean, okay, so the viable candidates right now, in my eyes, the Jets need a grown-up in the building. They need a head coach. They can't take a chance on a coordinator. They just can't. The last 2 times they've done it, it's blown up in their face. And you might still have a 41-year-old quarterback next year. You need someone who's the big man in the room, who even the 41-year-old is going to listen to, okay? And that's either Vrabel, Pete Carroll, which I think is a very viable choice. Even at 73, every time Carroll coaches, he's a winner. He's a program builder. He built USC.
Yeah.
Went to Seattle, took Russell Wilson and started him over a quarterback that they had just given $10 million a year to for 5 years. Had the knowledge to see that Wilson was going to be the better player. Got Marshawn Lynch. Had a top-notch defense. And then even after their Super Bowl run, on their decline, he was still able, with Geno Smith, who failed here, to get that team to 9-7 back-to-back years before they let him go. So I think Carroll is probably the next most viable candidate. But then you start talking about the Riveras of the world and Rex Ryan. And no, I mean, there's not many options out there, Mike. The Jets.
Why not Rex Ryan?
Year. Who?
Why not Rex Ryan?
I'm going to tell you why. Number one, I'm a firm believer in don't go backwards to go forwards. I'm going to start just with that theory, okay? Number two, the only one talking about Rex Ryan is Rex Ryan. Okay. Number three, the Jets have been maybe the most offensively challenged team in the NFL for 3-4 years now. Rex Ryan cares as much about offense as I care about the ants on the street as I walk down it. He doesn't care about offense. He has no finger on offense. Now, is Rex a leader of men? Yes. Is he a grown-up in the room? Yes. Will men follow him? Yes. Even his defensive schemes might be outdated, though, Mike. Tell me something. How come nobody else has hired this man in the last 10 years?
I feel like ESPN pays more.
Maury has detected that's a lie. You don't make 7 figures on ESPN. You make 7 figures to coach. Yeah. Now, listen.
I mean, Skip Bayless, right? Not Skip Bayless. Stephen A. Smith right now is looking for $100 million.
Yeah, now. Okay, but you're talking about Stephen A. Smith, who's been in the industry for 25, 30 years, has his own show, a little different than Rex Ryan doing a spot on the NFL Now. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's not in the same position as a Stephen A. Smith or even as a Bill Cowher who does CBS during, Bill Cowher said he makes good enough money and he doesn't have to deal with the stress of being an NFL coach. He's in a position where that's not needed. Rex, the one thing I'll give Rex is he wants to coach. He wants the Jets. He wants them real bad. Now, does that tell me he'll probably be motivated for the job? Yeah, but there's a lot of questions with Rex. Who's running your offense since you don't give a rat's ass about it? And Mike, you know this in the new NFL now. The new NFL is this. If you do have a good offensive coordinator and he's good for a year or two, he's gone.
He's gone. He's got a head coaching job.
He's getting a job. Right. That's about to happen to Detroit. Detroit needs to win this year because they're about to lose their offensive coordinator. Okay? So this is the way it goes down. But if you have an offensive-minded head coach like McVay, if you lose your coordinator, it doesn't matter because your offensive guy is your head coach. You know what I'm saying? I don't see an offensive option out there for the Jets except maybe Kingsbury, and I don't trust him.
Okay. Well, you're in a spot where, like, the Eagles were in when we were getting rid of Chip. What do? Do you go and even just test the waters with somebody else?
They can't test no more, especially now with a four. And this is another thing with the Jet job, Mike. The new coach has to decide if he wants Aaron Rodgers or not.
Aaron Rodgers says they're saying Aaron Rodgers is gone.
That's what you hear in the media. Aaron Rodgers says he wants to play, and if you bring in an OG coach, meaning a Pete Carroll, a Rex Ryan, who's not offensive himself, and knows he needs a stopgap until they can draft a quarterback, because they're not in position to draft a quarterback this year. They're going to pick around 7, 6. They're not getting a quarterback. So if you bring in an OG coach that thinks Rodgers has enough, and listen, I was just saying this before you came on. Rodgers hasn't been as bad this year as people think. The team has, but he really hasn't. If you look at his numbers, he's 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. Over his last 4 or 5 weeks, he's played really well. His feet look better. Since he's older, it probably took him longer to get past the Achilles injury to move around a little better. Rodgers has he been Rodgers like we know from the past? No, he hasn't.
Well,
but
he's 40 years old.
Has he been better than Zach Wilson? Yes, absolutely.
Has he been better than Sam Darnold? No, he hasn't.
No, he has been. He has been better than Sam Darnold was with the Jets.
With the Jets, right.
With the Jets. He's been the best Jet quarterback, sadly, since Fitzpatrick in 15. He's about to break the single-season Jet passing record for yards and touchdowns. That's how bad the Jets quarterbacking has been. And Rodgers is having a down year, right? So if you have a defensive-minded quarterback that doesn't like to fuck with the offense too much, like Rex, like Pete Carroll, you might want Rodgers and say, okay, let me keep him for a year, make the offense serviceable while I build a program here, while I get a culture in here. I get a defense up and running that can actually stop people again. And since I'm not a moron coach like the schmucks that were here before me, I know how to keep the game close and make good in-game decisions and let Rodgers have a chance just to keep me in the game so we have a chance to win the game at the end. So I don't think the Rodgers thing is over. I think it's going to depend on who they hire.
I think he might be gone. I was listening to him the other day, and he's talking about these were the best years of his life, which what the hell? He had 2 years. You had 1 year.
He claims he loves the organization.
Yeah, you know why? Because they let him go and get high, and they don't give.
No, I'm good. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Did you watch the Aaron Rodgers documentary yet?
I did not.
My mind changed on him a bit in that. I'm going to tell you the one thing you're going to realize when you watch that. The man loves football more than life. He loves the rehab process was so difficult for him. What he went through to get his Achilles right, like he really didn't have a football off season because it was all rehab. It was all rehab. And he loves the game so much. He was so torn up not being able to play last year when he was hurt. It ripped him to shreds. So the one thing I'm going to say about Aaron Rodgers is I don't think he's lying about the best 2 years of his life. I mean it in this way, not on the field. Off the field, he's earned a new love and respect for the game that maybe he was taking for granted before he got hurt. And he's now embracing things more like the relationships with the players and the relationships within the building and what it means to have the camaraderie. And I really do think the guy loves to play and wants to play. And I think that if you have the right thing in place and the right coach, Vrabel, Pete Carroll, go up to him and say, Aaron, give me 1 year. I'm going to make the defense reasonable. I'm not going to ask you to win games. I'm just going to ask you to not lose games and make big plays from time to time. I think Aaron would be on board because I don't think he wants it to end this way, Mike.
Right. You got to also put a line in front of him that's going to be able to block.
That's part of getting the right guy in the building. That's a big part of getting the right guy in the building because the right guy in the building is going to know who to get. Listen, the Jets are drafting 6 or 7. They're not going to get a quarterback. You know what they can get? A monster tackle. Okay. You know, the Jets, they already drafted one this past year who was pretty good till he got hurt. And now you have bookend young tackles, right? Guards, kind of a dime a dozen. You know, there's a lot of good guards out there. You could pick one up. The center is good. He's young. He's going into his third year. The center is good. So the Jet line is really more decimated about injury than anything else. You know, listen, they took a chance on a Hall of Famer from Dallas who was old this year. Bottom line. If you draft the guy at number 6, number 7 pick, that's who you're replacing, you know?
Right.
So the Jets are not that far off with the right guy in the building. The right guy in the building to get you the ancillary pieces you need to be able to win.
But then you also have an owner, too, that
he's a
is
problem.
like Jerry Jones. He's the
That's
problem.
that's another reason you need an adult in the building, someone who can tell him, Woody, shut the fuck up. Someone who he's going to respect. He's not going to respect Rob Saleh.
Right.
But if Pete Carroll tells him, Woody, stay the fuck out of my way, he's going to listen to Pete Carroll. You know, he's going to listen to Mike Vrabel because they have track records. They could show him, I've done this before, son. Sit down in your owner's box with your sons, play some Madden, have yourself a gin and tonic, enjoy the show. I'm running the fucking team. They're not that far off. The Jets' biggest problem this year was the 12 guys on the sideline running the team. That was their biggest problem this year.
Oh, yeah.
Was the coaching and the coaching staff. If you fix that, you've now fixed your primary problem and can get a culture in there. But they're off to a banging start interviewing coaches without a GM in place. That's the Jets.
That's the Jets. And that's why you want to talk about the Knicks so bad.
The Knicks. The Knicks have won 9 in a row. They are 24-10. And they did something last night that I don't remember them doing ever. And that is not have their starting point guard, not have their backup point guard, and win by 20 points. And just before you jumped in, I was talking about this. I remember back when the Knicks first started getting good again, the year that they signed Julius Randle, and then they traded for Derrick Rose, right? And that was a big deal when they got Derrick Rose. Even though he was older, it was like, okay, this guy's a real point guard, right? Well, you know, he's going to be able to set up the offense. We're going to have a chance now. Derrick could still score some points. And when Derrick would be hurt, which was often, and you heard Eldred Payton was starting, you were like, oh, no. Oh, we got no chance. We're going to lose. Payton can't score. He passes like he throws bricks. He plays defense, but that's all he does. No disrespect to Payton. He plays hard, but the guy couldn't, score in a hooker house with $500 in his pocket. So, but now you got the Knicks without Brunson last night, without McBride starting campaign. What happens? Karl Anthony Towns goes for 30-20. What happens? Josh Hart gets a triple-double. What happens? OG Anunoby puts up 28 points. The Knicks have depth, Mike, like I've never seen them have. They have 4 starters who have all scored 40 points at some point this season already. That is remarkable. That's remarkable.
Yeah, top the Jazz.
With no point guard.
No point guard.
And they beat them down. In the fourth quarter, they beat them down. I was like, wow, okay. And now remember, the Jazz have a good center. The Knicks were thinking of getting him before they got Karl Anthony Towns. And let me tell you something. Towns took him to the woodshed, beat the shit out of him, then urinated on him, dragged him back out to the fields, and let the cow shit on him. He dogged him last night. Absolutely dogged him.
6 points in 30 minutes.
Woo!
And 8 rebounds.
Yeah. Yeah. So Towns has been,
that's the ball not bouncing your way, I'll tell you.
Anybody who doesn't think that the Knicks have won this Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and DiVincenzo trade is out of their fucking mind.
Oh, yeah, you guys pulled it off.
Oh, yeah. This trade is now turning into highway robbery at this point.
Yeah.
And now the Knicks all of a sudden are only a game behind Boston and only 5 behind Cleveland. Both teams who started red hot when the Knicks were 5-6.
The Knicks are 9-1 our last 10.
Good test tonight.
And Cleveland's still lighting it up. Here we are talking all this shit on them.
But yet the Knicks are only back 5 games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're clawing back. The Cavs are 9-1, too.
Listen, coaching matters.
Yeah.
They got Atkinson, and it's made a big difference. Coaching matters. And the Knicks have a big test tonight. They're playing the top dog in the West as of right now, Oklahoma City, and my old friend Isaiah Hartenstein. 29-5 on the road. The Knicks are going to show out tonight. I don't know if they'll win the game. I mean, they've won 9 in a row. But
Why not 10?
But I think Cat's going to take Hartenstein out to the woodshed.
You think he's going to take him out to the woodshed?
He's going to take him out to the woodshed. He's going to show him, this is why they got me instead of you, son.
Yeah, but don't they got our buddy Chet over there, though?
Listen, they're a good team. And, you know, that team is not 29-5 for no reason. That team was on the precipice last year. Oklahoma City's good. So I expect a very good game tonight. Now, the Knicks could fall a little flat if Brunson doesn't play again. He's questionable. So, you know, that obviously goes into the equation. And if you're going to say to me, hey, Turk, they're going to lose, you know, a game in early January to Oklahoma City on the road out of conference, I'd say, okay, that's one I'm willing to lose as opposed to my conference games. You know what I mean? Yeah. On the road in Oklahoma City against the current number 1 seed, you can live with it. But the Knicks are for real, Mike. They are for real. I said 20, 30 games. I'll tell you my judgment. My judgment is in. The Knicks are going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Ooh.
They're not maybe. They are going. And their first 2 series will be won in 5 games or less. They are that good.
I mean, you're they're set up for
New York, go, New York, go.
Oh, God. Yeah, what? Did you put that on yet?
I got to get it. I didn't get it, but it will be on next week's pod.
Oh, my God. I was sitting there, and I'm like, this guy was talking about how bad. And I never wanted to say it because
that Go New York song is awesome.
Myself. I wanted to figure it out for myself. I was like, what's that annoying-ass song from the 90s?
Listen, they did a revamped version of it now.
I know they did.
Wait, we're going to bring it up.
Last year, wasn't it?
No, it's this year.
Oh,
it's this year, and it's actually really good. I was like, it got me hyped.
I bet it did.
Yeah, I'm going to play it so you and our audience can hear it.
Take me to the garden and hit the music.
Oh, it's so bad. Oh, you know what? Maybe the kids will like it.
Go New York, go New York, go! New York.
Our younger
New
listeners
York.
back in the 90s.
Come on, Mike, get into it, Mike!
Never.
Come on, Mike!
They made this song, this rap song.
Mike, it's better
Ewing
than that
playing.
shit you play for your team.
And they didn't fucking win nothing.
That's a chunk of the new version of the Go New York Go song. And I'm hyped for this team, Mike. I'm not going to lie. I'm hyped for them. Yeah, I am.
I mean, you should be. You guys are, you're playing great basketball right now.
Yeah. Listen, even you as a Philadelphia fan, you have to look at it and say,
I can't, if it were a situation where, it's still the Knicks. No, they're playing at the top of the conference. They're on a heater.
They don't look like an overachieving team.
No.
They look like a team playing the way they should be playing, considering who's on their team.
Right. They made it as far as they did last year, and now they're showing like, hey, look, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. The only thing that's going to stop me is the injury bug itself.
And the Knicks so far have done the opposite of last year. Last year, as the season went along, they lost people. This year, as the season goes along, they're getting people back. Mitch Robinson due back in a week or two.
It's on getting to the halfway point.
Yeah. So they already got, and it's already made a difference. They've already gotten Achua back, right? They got back their new 3-point shooter who they signed at the beginning of the year. And they, were hoping that Landry Shamet would be part of it. He got hurt. They released him. They re-signed him last week, brought him back. Guy comes off the bench, first time seeing him in a Knick uniform. Boom, boom, boom. 3 threes. You know, they got the parts. The parts are there. They got the bench shooting. They got defense. They got offense. They have a center. I loved Patrick Ewing. Let me tell you something. As a kid, Patrick Ewing was my guy. I say this with love and respect to Patrick. Karl Anthony Towns is 3 times the player Patrick ever was. Because he could do everything Patrick did and more. He's got the 3-point shot. He's got handles to dribble. He's got the couple of things that were Pat's weaknesses are in Cat weaknesses. Big deal. Big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sixers,
it
Mike.
was a little bit of a different time.
Sixers, Mike.
It's with Sixers. It's always 2 steps back, 1 step forward. 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
They can't get out of their own way. They really can't.
Yeah.
You are still only a game behind the play-in tournament, though. You're still right there.
This is true. This is true. They have to start gelling now that everybody's starting to get healthy. We're in that spot that you were saying earlier in the season with the Knicks.
Right.
You gotta start getting some chemistry going here, and it's they're keeping up with everybody, but they're not closing out, so to speak. They're playing good basketball, but they're not.
How has Embiid looked lately?
Joel's dunking on guys, and he's playing pissed off.
He looks healthy, actually, is what I was going to say. He looks healthy.
He's playing pissed off.
First time in a long time. I watched him in a Sixer game the other night. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I remember that guy. The one that can drive the lane and stuff it in you. Yeah. I remember him.
He's playing very pissed off. He's going into the lane. He was just on ESPN the other night dunking on everybody again. That's the Joel we kind of want to say.
Yeah.
But like you were
will he
saying,
stay healthy long enough to keep doing it is always the question with Joel.
No, and I'm
it's never about whether he can play or not. It's
right.
about whether he does play or not.
I still stand firm, kind of what you were agreeing with you earlier in the season. This is, I think, molding this into, hey, look, he can still play. Anybody want him?
Get assets for him right now. Right now. Listen, he's playing well now. He looks like Joel Embiid now. You know as well as I know. He's one twisted ankle away from being on the bench again for a week or 2. It happens all the time with him. While he's valuable, go get 5 first-rounders right now and a shooter. 5 first-rounders and a shooter right now.
If we could. Yeah. Lost to they're not the Warriors. This isn't the Warriors of the 2010s. Get blown out the way they did. It's not this isn't where we want to be. But
no.
The whole thing right now, Turk, is right now just the Eagles. Philadelphia's focused.
We're gonna get to football right now, my friend. Here we go.
One thing only. I give you a small tidbit on the Flyers. The Flyers are barely holding on. They need a goddamn goal.
I don't even want to talk about hockey.
We could go. Yeah, I know you don't want to talk about hockey because you guys are fucking digging
other than the fact that the Rangers,
further into the furnace.
Other than the fact that the Rangers suck, I don't want to talk about hockey just because there's too much else good going on between football coming to the end of a season.
Yeah,
Eagles getting ready to go to playoffs. You know, we have the final week. We have a great Sunday night game for the number 1 seed between Minnesota and Detroit. Philadelphia will sit in the number 2 no matter what happens. And away we go. NFL, let's talk about this shit. So first we'll start with the lower ancillary things and work our way up to the bigger games, right? So we're going to start with minor games that have playoff implications. And I might as well get them out of the way since they make me sick anyway. Let's talk about Jets-Dolphins. Okay, Jets-Dolphins. The Dolphins need to win to keep alive, and they need a Denver loss. Now, with the season being the way it's been for the Jets, make no mistake, this is their Super Bowl. This is their Super Bowl. To keep Miami out of the playoffs is almost as valuable. You know what they say. If you can't be a winner, you want to turn everyone else into a loser.
Yes.
You know, misery deserves company. So
Misery deserves company. Yes.
that's right. So the Jets are going to host Miami, and Miami is a 5-point favorite on the road. I mean, I'm sorry, half-point favorite on the road, 0.5, and Tua's not playing. I like the Jets at home to ruin Miami's season and fuck up their own draft and move up to number 12.
And fuck up their own draft,
Yeah.
right. Continue to do even what the Giants did.
Jets doing Jet things. Yes.
Everything in New York is great. Yeah, I agree. No Tua.
No Tua. Hundley starting.
That's too much of a hurt for the Dolphins. Better luck next year.
Another game with some minor implication. Kind of. Cleveland Browns are in Baltimore for the Ravens. The Ravens, Mike, are 19.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
Almost 20 points. Now, what does this do for the Ravens this game? They've clinched the division already. It locks them into the 3 seed. It has a minor implication. I think they can drop to 4 if they screw it up.
You're still getting a home game.
Home playoff game. But I don't like 19.5. I'm going to take the Browns.
I don't know. The Browns have starting to brown again.
20 points, Mike.
20 points is a lot. Like you said, though, with them already pretty much having everything locked up, there might be a halftime conversation depending on the score, and they sit everybody. Where Browns will get some garbage points and bring that within 20. So, I would take the Browns.
Yeah, I don't think that game is going to be quite that ugly because of what you said. I don't know how much you're actually going to play Lamar and how much you're actually going to play Henry.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they'll start. They'll want to get a lead. They'll get ahead. And then they'll probably take their gas off the foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
And kind of coast the rest of the way.
Yeah, scoreboard watch, see what's going on, too. Even if they're down, it's like, you know what? Get the third stringers in there.
Right. Next playoff implication game, Mike. And again, there are implications involved in a weird way. Kansas City is at Denver. Kansas City sitting everyone. Denver needs to win to make the playoffs. Denver is a home 10.5-point favorite against Kansas City. I don't care if you're playing quarterback for Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs and I'm playing tight end. They're not losing that game by 2 scores, Mike.
And you're
they
not
might
getting
lose the game. They might lose the game. Well, your boy Carson Wentz is starting. Your boy, right?
They're not losing by, what did you say, 10.5?
10.5. And Denver needs the game.
Let's talk about Carson Wentz for a second. And let's talk about my personal opinion of Carson Wentz, since I'm allowed to. It's half my show too.
Is it?
All right,
is it really?
1/3.
But is it really?
1/3. Carson Wentz was what he was, and then that flash in the pan was gone with a concussion by Jadeveon Clowney. That was it for Carson Wentz.
He never went back.
Never went back. He had his high hopes, and then I watched him fall, and I watched a legend made because of it.
He was on his way to the MVP that year, Mike.
He very well was. He probably still should have done it because he still had better numbers than Brady did. And he only played 14 games in that season, I think. 14. After that, you saw the decline. You really saw the decline after that year, but Clowney's hit pretty much ended it. The problem, though, is Andy Reid is the quarterback whisperer.
You just brought out the point I was going to bring out. Carson Wentz is playing for his career Sunday. for his career.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. He can't wet the bed, or nobody's even going to sign him as backup. He's playing for his career. And he's been with Andy Reid behind Patrick Mahomes for a whole year, watching the best player in the game with the best offensive coach in the game doing it. If he doesn't absorb something like from that and play well, when is he ever going to play well again?
It's now or never, and I think that Andy will get him through that game.
Carson Wentz will have 285 yards and 3 touchdown passes versus no picks. Kansas City blows Denver out.
No, I see Denver still winning the game. But Carson, they're going to start talking about, is Carson Wentz back?
It's a quarterback starving league, Mike. It's a quarterback. The Jets are talking about signing fucking Jameis Winston.
Ouch.
I mean, yeah.
You probably do better with Carson.
Anyway, so I don't think the Chiefs to be 10.5-point underdogs in any game. I'll take the Chiefs and the points. Thank you very much. With no problem. All right, so now we have another playoff implication game. Atlanta needs to win and needs a Tampa Bay loss to win the division. Atlanta is home, a 7.5-point favorite for the terrible Carolina Panthers.
Turk, since the streak's over on the mushing, I am afraid of Tampa Bay.
You don't want them to get in?
I don't even want them in. That's
you know the way it stands right now. If it holds true, you're going to host Tampa for the playoff game, right?
We're going to have to host either Tampa, Atlanta, or Washington.
I want it to be Tampa so bad.
And Washington already exposed us by hurting our guys and having some referees help.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't do that, Mike. You're better than that. Come on. You're better.
The Bucks just seem to keep fucking looking like a Super Bowl team every time they play us. And I don't see the Falcons getting in this to help us out. But if there's a 9-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus.
Well, what do you think of the Atlanta-Carolina game? So you think Atlanta wins and puts the pressure on Tampa?
I hope to God they do. I really do. But I can see Carolina. What was the spread?
7.5.
Oh, man. Yeah.
There's some beefy spreads this week, Mike.
I'm betting the game. I'm going to take Carolina in the points.
I'm going to tell you why I'll take Atlanta. Because I think Penix is pretty good. And I think that it's a soft landing spot with a bad defense for him to do things he does in college. And I think he'll play well.
Do you understand that would be the best case scenario for us?
I get it.
Because who's another left-handed running quarterback that just couldn't win in Philly? Michael Vick.
Well, yeah, I was going to say he was another African-American who threw left-handed, whose name was off by male genitalia by one letter.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would love a rookie that's not.
But, Mike, you have a bigger problem than that.
I don't have that big of a problem.
Yeah. The bigger problem is this. Tampa Bay is home for New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they're 14-point favorites.
And we are not happy about this in any way. And my condolences to everybody in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's terrible.
What happens when situations like this happen? Their pro team somehow comes out and shows out for them.
I would agree with that if the game was in New Orleans.
I would too, but
it's in Tampa.
I'd say it's a lock.
It's in Tampa, and Tampa has to have the game. Baker's played really well lately, and let's keep it real. New Orleans has no quarterback.
Yeah, all right. It's the Buccaneers are going to win. We're going to end up playing.
You're going to have to play the Bucs in round one. I'm going to love every fucking second of it. I want you to know that. So,
all right.
Let's get to another playoff implication type of game, and there's not many left. And this really is more about where and who they're going to play in the playoffs, and that's the Washington Commanders are 6.5-point road favorites at Dallas. Dallas, the doormat.
I mean, I wouldn't call them a doormat.
Well,
yeah,
not exactly a good team.
We beat them a lot to a little this year.
Speaking of Dallas, did you hear that the Cowboys released Ezekiel Elliott that way he could hook on with a playoff team?
Yeah.
As what, the water boy?
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, the Eagles should sign him. And I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Why?
Piss people off.
Oh,
man. Yeah, I'm going to pick the Commanders. That might even be a bloodbath.
It's in Dallas.
So is our team.
Yeah, but your team's a lot better. Your team's I'll put it this way. Your team's used to playing big road games. Your team's done that a lot in the last few years.
And now that we're segueing a little bit into, can people lay the fuck off the Saquon thing? Please.
All right. So, yeah, I agree with that. I want you to make your statement. I got a statement on it, too.
Okay. I'm gonna put 10 seconds in it. Leave it the fuck alone. Stop saying the bullshit. Oh, well, if he gets the record, we're going to win the Super Bowl. When has that ever been a thing? Eric Dickerson didn't win the Super Bowl that year. Anybody that rushed over 2,000 yards didn't win the Super Bowl that year, except maybe the time OJ did it.
They didn't win the Super Bowl.
And he didn't win the Super Bowl. Yeah, right. He played for the Bills. I'm sorry. I forgot they don't win Super Bowls.
They don't win Super Bowls, yeah.
They don't win Super Bowls. Leave it the fuck alone.
I'll tell you what. This is my thought on it. Everyone, including Saquon, who has now cried about it publicly. Yeah. Shame on him. A man who played on a shit team for years goes to a really good team. He should have one thought in his head only. And it's not about breaking Dickerson's record. It should be going to win the Super Bowl. It should be the only thing he cares about. And he should understand that in order for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, he needs to be 100% effective in the playoffs and getting hurt in a meaningless game against his old team for a record that's not true because he didn't break it in 16 games. Dickerson ran for 2105 in 16 games, not 17.
True.
It's a fake record. It's not even a real record if he breaks it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the price to pay because, Mike, I said this all year. The way Barkley would become a bad deal for the Eagles would be what?
If he gets hurt.
Wouldn't it be the Eagles' luck?
Yes.
If Sirianni was dumb enough to play him this week, that he would get hurt against the Giants.
He'd be out the door that day.
Can't let it happen. Can't happen.
Out the door that day. We'd have to go get Ezekiel Elliott.
Can't have it. Can't have it. So Barkley, Saquon, listen to me, Saquon.
He's okay. Let's get.
Saquon, you've had a great year. You have more than shoved it straight up the Giants' ass.
Yeah.
You have made them shit out Eagle Green since the second you moved down I-95. Shut the fuck up and get ready for the playoffs.
He's getting ready for the playoffs. As anybody would be a little disappointed. You know, there's probably an incentive involved in it. There's probably more money to be made in it. There's a chance to do it against his old team. I understand why he would be upset, but he gets it. He does get the point.
He did bitch about it, though, Mike.
As anybody would.
No, you're wrong. You could be upset about it.
Oh, hold on.
Where
you're wrong is to say it's not the record.
You could be upset about it. You could be disappointed about it.
He's disappointed.
Shut the fuck up in public about it. Your team has a bigger goal. Don't be so selfish, you little bitch. Don't be so selfish. This is a team sport. I'm sorry. I'm the head coach. If he had said that and I heard that and I was Sirianni, I would have called Saquon to my office that day and said, bro, listen to me. You played for that shit dog team and got beat up for 4 years. That record don't mean shit. You hoisting the trophy at the end of the road is what will stick it further up their ass than anything you could do tomorrow.
Exactly. And he's going to get it. He's got it. I'm sure it's all sunk in. But you can't. The other thing is, you can't, like all these other people. That's not the record because Dickerson. It took Dickerson 2 extra games than OJ.
I got news for you, right?
That's not the record.
I was just going to say Dickerson's record isn't the record. He didn't break 2,060 yards in 14 games. That's the record. That's the record. That's the record.
It's in the single season.
Blah, blah, blah. 14 games to 17 games is 3 more games. A big difference, Mike. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I understand. It could be for a good running back is potentially 300 yards.
If you break OJ's in 14 and then go on and do whatever you do for the rest of the year, then yes, that's the existing record. If you don't get past OJ's, in my opinion, in the 14 weeks, anything you do after that doesn't give you the record in my eyes. You have to do what he did and more. What he did and more, not less than what he did before you do more. That's my opinion. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm always right. So deal with it.
No, you're not always right.
And that's a perfect segue to your Eagles.
Yes. Great.
Your Eagles locked into the 2 seed. I heard they called you to play guard because they want to rest everyone. Right?
Yeah, I politely declined.
Oh, did you? I thought you might take the opportunity to go back to your glory days. Yeah. Well, maybe a couple less beers, maybe. Maybe.
I asked the kick.
Anyway,
Elliott couldn't fucking hit the red side of a fucking barn.
The Eagles are 2.5-point favorites with nobody playing.
Yeah.
At home against the hapless, don't even know how to lose when they're supposed to get their quarterback, New York Giants, who will be starting Drew Lock.
And I think they're going to be moving further down the draft board because Haley is a sick motherfucker. And he's going to go in and say, guys, don't get hurt. Let's make it look good.
Boy, I got to tell you,
Giants win 17-6.
I don't see how the Giants don't win this game because the Eagles are going to do everything they can to let them win the game.
Yeah. Honestly, they need even starting Kenny Pickett. They should go to their 4th-string kid.
Pickles looked okay before he got hurt.
He did. And another thing I want to do, I want to give that kid his flowers too. I've been saying that a lot this week. The kid deserves. He earned his Philadelphia fandom. That kid played with broken ribs and took an ass whooping for 2 straight hours.
I hear Frank right now. He's yelling in my ear. Kenny Pickles sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, of course. Yeah, but he sucks. You'll see.
He looked
this.
like Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Like Terry Bradshaw in the Super Bowl.
Look at him in the upper right-hand corner. He's yelling at you already.
Sorry, Frank. Thanks.
Yeah, he's yelling at you. All right, let's move on to another one. Next, we have only a little bit of playoff implications. I guess the Chargers can be dropped down from where they are right now, seating-wise. The LA Chargers, -4.5 at the Vegas Raiders. An old-school AFL battle.
Yeah, I'm giving them 4 points. I might tease it down. Excuse me, tease it up. I'd give them more.
You give them more, huh?
Stinks.
The Raiders stink.
Stink.
And I agree. I'll take the Chargers all day on that one. The division-winning LA Rams, who have nothing to play for, they are locked in at the 3 seed. Locked in. They will be playing against the now disappointed, blew the division chance last week, Seattle Seahawks. The line is 6.5. Rams are home dogs. They are sitting Stafford. They are sitting Cooper Kupp. They are sitting all their good players.
Take the Rams.
6.5?
I'll take the 6.5, yeah.
I'm going to take Seattle because Geno and all of them are playing, and they're going to want to go out with a bang, and the Rams ain't playing nobody. So
they're not playing anybody, but I think they'll keep it within that 6.5.
We'll see. We'll see. Next is the shit game nobody in the beginning of the year thought would be the shit game. San Francisco at Arizona. Nobody has nothing to play for. Purdy's out for the year.
Yeah, I couldn't give a shit. They look like shit. They both look. That whole game could not even be televised. It wouldn't hurt me.
Bad game.
Tie 3-3.
There's a couple of bad games going on.
I would throw $10 on the tie.
And then you got the hapless Jaguars against the loser Colts. Colts are 4.5-point favorites. Maybe Peterson's last stand.
No, I think Dougie might be out that door down there. But I'll take the Jags just because I like Doug. And that's the only reason why.
I'll take the Colts because I think the Jags have given up all the way. Houston Texans, division winners, sitting pretty. Don't have to do a thing. Probably ain't going to play nobody at the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are a 1.5 home favorite.
Titans win.
The Titans are really bad.
They are really bad, but this is one of those. How deep is the Texans?
I mean, the over-under is 36.5. Oof.
Yeah. 10-3.
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston just because Tennessee's that bad.
Okay.
And Houston's defense is still going to play, so I don't think Tennessee's going to be able to score a bunch of points. I'll take Houston just because. Yeah. That gets us to the guard spot. The game. Sunday night. Not only for the NFC North Division, but for the number 1 seed. The 14-2 Vikings on the road at the 14-2 Lions. Now, the Lions have gotten back a couple of their defensive starters. Not quite as banged up as they were. Still down 4 defensive starters, though. The Vikings, Sam fucking Darnold, fuck me, are 2.5-point road dogs. Everyone keeps saying this is the Lions' year. Everyone keeps saying how great Campbell is, how Jared Goff is a revelation, and they've been really good at home. With that being said, I smell upset. I'm going to take the Vikings into 2.5 points. I think the Vikings are going to win outright and damn the Lions to the wild card game. Holy shit, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I am.
That's what happened to the Eagles last year. I don't think the Vikings are. They're playing really well. Their
14
record says
Mike.
well.
They're 14-2.
I had a lot of their guys in fantasy football, but they didn't play a single goddamn team all year.
That's a lie, by the way, but okay.
Not one team that they play all
Really?
year.
So they didn't play the Lions.
They
Didn't play
played the
Green Bay
Jaguars
twice.
and they won 12-7.
They didn't play Green Bay twice and beat them twice.
They played Green Bay twice and they played the Lions. This will be the second time. They haven't played anybody else all year.
They played Houston.
Houston's not good.
Houston won a division.
Cool. And a dog shit division.
Wow, you are a hater.
I'm not a hater.
You are.
I don't think Minnesota's that good. Minnesota falls to the 5 seed where they belong and probably loses in the first round. I said it. You heard it here first.
With that being said, I think the NFL system now, with the way they have 7 teams going in each conference, I think it's a little flawed. I got a problem with a 14-3 team not even getting a home game.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
It is crazy. I don't like, and anybody, you can say whatever you want about it. The 2 bye weeks per conference, I thought was the best thing to have. And if you're not going to do it for 2 teams, you shouldn't do it at all. Go to an 8-team, 16-team bracket, and that's it. Make the number 1 team play.
Yeah, and that's, listen, this is the way the NFL is now. We're in the final week. Most of the teams that are in. There's only a couple of spots left that are questionable, like Miami can still get in if Denver trips. Atlanta can still win the division if Tampa Bay trips. But other than that, everything else is pretty solidified. And now that we're getting off NFL, we're going to briefly dip into something else.
Huh.
How fucked up is the college playoffs? I mean, Mike, all top seeds are gone. I mean, I'm watching what's going on here, and it's like, how the hell, all the top teams losing? Where's my what the fuck? Here it is.
There it is.
What the fuck?
All the top teams went down. Oregon got smoked. Down 31-8 at the half to Ohio State. Smoked. I mean, Mike, I'm going to scare you a little bit.
Don't. I listen, I lost a lot of money this weekend.
Notre Dame has a chance to win it now. They have a chance now, Mike.
I lost a lot of money
If
this
they beat Texas, Mike.
Now they got to play Penn State.
Oh, I'm sorry. If they beat Penn State, yeah, if they beat, right, Texas has to play against Ohio State.
I will tell you, I watched a team that basically dominated the past 3 years look like my 10-year-old team on defense.
Terrible. That first half was so bad.
I am very much a Georgia boy. I love the Bulldogs.
We suck again.
Oh my God. And I didn't want to hear all this shit about the quarterback. I was happy when Beck was I'm not happy he got hurt. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You can.
That's what you're going to do. You're just going to push buttons the whole time. Georgia very much got upset this week.
You think?
To a inferior Notre Dame team.
I thought of you with that game.
I bet you did.
I thought of you with that game.
And giving all the credit in the world to Notre Dame. Notre Dame looked great.
Listen, they went and beat a team I didn't think they could beat.
They knew that everything was stacked against them. Here comes Rudy 2. Here comes the fucking sequel. Here comes the sequel. But I hope for my father and all of the old heads in Philly that are not Catholics, Penn State wins. And that's all I got. I hope Penn State wins. I don't have a dog in the race anymore. I think Texas
Mike, how wild
too.
How wild would Ohio State,
Penn State?
No, Ohio State, Notre Dame championship game be?
It wouldn't be as big.
It's
as
never
the
happened.
Penn State game.
It's never. It's but listen. We've done Ohio State, Penn State back in the day. Okay, we've seen that accumulate before.
I don't think it's ever been a national title game, but
it may not have been. But they used to play in Big Ten championships.
They play for the Big Ten. They're in the same conference.
So that's what I'm saying. So we've seen that before. But old school OGs like Ohio State and Notre Dame, for some reason, never play. They never play.
Because
and now guess what could happen? One more win on each side, and you might get
Ohio
oldest
State
programs in the country who never play each other in the championship game.
And then I wouldn't watch it because I can tell you, I don't like Notre Dame, but I hate Ohio State.
What would they ever do to you?
It's first off, I went to Ohio. I've been through Ohio a few times. I've never stopped in Ohio. That place stinks.
Oh, did you ever go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
So I don't care. I don't care what's there.
But LeBron is from Akron.
Yeah. Name all the stuff that sucks.
Drew Carey loves Ohio.
Yeah, Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks.
I hate Ohio State. I believe that would be every Yankee, Laker, Dallas Cowboy fans favorite.
That's the college equivalent. Ohio State,
and
Notre Dame is Yankees, Dodgers. It is.
It's like, oh my God, nerds would be blowing their loads all over the place. Oh, we're back. And it would just also prove, if Ohio State gets in, that it's rigged. Because what happened the last time, they expanded and they started a playoff.
Did you watch their last playoff game?
Huh?
Did you watch their last playoff game?
I did. I watched all of them.
They beat the dog shit out of them. They more than deserve to be there. They took them out to the woodshed, and they weren't even courteous enough to use wood. They used steel. They took a steel bar and took Oregon, threw them over their knee, and beat their ass with a steel bar.
And Oregon looked like shit. They look like they didn't belong.
I'm really surprised how bad Oregon looked in the first half.
There's nothing further that I could do as a Georgia guy except for just pray that Ohio State does not fucking win this thing.
Oh, my
and neither does Notre Dame. So
you can
go
do
Penn State.
Get that old ass of yours in there.
I'm not happy about this at all, but go Penn State. We are.
I'll tell you what, though. You know what I did learn in this college playoff run? I think the buys hurt a lot. And I'll tell you why they hurt a lot. Because there's also a gap from the end of the season until they start playing.
It's not a buy. It's
3 weeks, Mike. They didn't play in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. You know this. You were in football. That's an eternity.
It's proven itself even when they used to just have 1 versus 2. It was like 3-4 weeks between championship game to bowl game.
That's too much. It's too long. It really is.
It's and that's why this was the better thing to have a tournament. They should 100% eliminate the buys.
You know why those first 2 buys are in there, right? The first 2 weeks? Because they have to make all their money off the other bowl games.
Oh, yeah.
Off the PSE&G Lick My Balls Bowl. And off the fucking Mattel Matchbox Race Car Bowl. And the fucking Pop-Tarts Bowl. I mean.
I think the NIL, if it continues the way it's going, will eliminate the bullshit bowl games.
No, it won't. I'm going to tell you why it won't.
Why?
Because NIL pays the players. The bowl games pay the schools.
Okay. But
schools are not giving up their money. They're not.
Some of these players are not playing in these games now.
You saw what Cam Ward did, right? I'm going to tell you something. I wasn't going to get into this. I'm going to do it now. Cam Ward, listen to me.
Listen to him.
I wouldn't draft you if you were the last fucking quarterback alive after what you did to your team. For you to not only come out of a game because you broke a record, but then when they have a chance to win the game, refuse to go back in because of your fucking draft status. If I was the NFL teams, I would collaborate to drop that motherfucker to the 4th round so he don't make a dime. Fuck him. Bro, that's atrocious. If I was his teammates, I would have beat the shit out of him after the game. I would have taken him in the locker room, thrown him up against the locker, and started just fucking hitting on him for being a scumbag quitter on us. Dude, that is the problem right there with NIL.
Well,
that is the problem right
but it's
there.
Here. It's here, and it's here to stay. And this also goes back to all of the money that these schools have made on the players.
Mike, deciding not to play the game in a meaningless bowl because you don't want to get hurt and hurt your draft status, that's understandable. Starting the game and then saying, nah, I'm done, guys, that's douchery. That's straight douchery.
Yeah,
I don't like it, and it shows me he's not a team guy, and I wouldn't draft him. And I wouldn't give a fuck how good he is. I wouldn't draft him.
I agree with you, but that's the world we live in now.
Fuck this world.
Whoa.
And all you soft
that's just because you're a Jets fan.
All you soft scumbags who have ruined college and pro sports for me. All you douche faces who fucking want, and I root for the player. I'm not rooting for the team. It's the player. You know what? Fuck you and your player. None of them would exist without your teams, you bunch of idiots. It's disgraceful the way it is now, Mike. And college football just turns me off more and more and more.
Every year it does get a little worse. But this is going to be the first time, long time, you're not even going to have an SEC team.
Not even in the Final Four.
Not even in the Final Four. Technically, Texas was an old SEC team at one point, but
they were. They're not now.
I mean, they are an SEC team. Now,
Are they SEC?
yeah, they moved to the SEC. They were Big 12.
All right, so the SEC gets a stay of execution. One of their new teams made it. Okay.
Yeah, but they
None of the
look
traditional SEC teams made
they
it.
look like shit to the point that, Ohio State might very well just take them to the house.
Let's pick the games quick.
Well, we have to because all of our brackets are busted.
That's right. Notre Dame.
I'm going
taking Notre Dame, Mike.
I'm taking Penn State.
I like Notre Dame because
they play at Yankee Stadium.
Because they play at Yankee Stadium.
The Shamrock Series against Tommy.
In all seriousness, I lean heavily into this. I think they're the better coach team.
They are. They're riding hot right now. They look like one of the better. Them and Ohio State last week look like the two.
They look
best
like
teams
the better
in
coach
nation.
teams on the field. They look like
the
the
two
better
best teams in the
prepared teams.
And both quarterbacks are red hot right now. So that could be, it could very well be one of the most memorable championship games you're ever going to see. But Penn State's going to stop it. And they're going to run the ball. James Franklin's going to, listen, I might be living in a dream world.
You are living in a dream world.
I might have a fever of 105 right now.
You do.
I don't know. I might be hallucinating. James Franklin's going to run the ball and somehow beat Notre Dame and play Ohio State. Ohio State's going to beat Texas.
I'm taking Ohio State also.
And
so I now have pivoted from my Oregon's the best team in the country shit to now Notre Dame has destiny on their side. Mike, you're going to hate me for this. Notre Dame's going to win a national championship.
If I had to pick between Ohio State and Notre Dame, I pick death.
Wow.
No, I would pick Notre Dame. With the way it's looking right now, I think Notre Dame.
Hot at the right time, Mike. They're hot at the right time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this week. If they look like shit against a good, not great, a good Penn State defense, and the only reason why a lot of teams were even in it against Penn State is because of coaching.
I think Penn State is offensively deficient. I think Notre Dame is better coached. And I got news for you. I don't think the game's going to be that close. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Again, I don't have a dog.
I'll say that's going to be like a final score of 41-24. Something like that. And Notre Dame's going to jump on them early. They're going to show them early, your defense ain't stopping us, bro. You better figure out how to score fucking points because you're not stopping us. They just look the part right now, Mike. They really do. And I'm not a fan of Notre Dame either. But right now, they look the part.
The football person in me just doesn't believe that they can win a shootout with Notre Dame.
No,
if it does get up,
I don't think they can score with them. That's exactly what I mean.
If they don't stop Notre Dame, which I know that sounds.
I think we're going to know
if they don't stop Notre Dame.
We're going to know in the first quarter. We're going to see the tenor of the game in the first quarter. If Notre Dame, even if they don't score a bunch of points, looks like they're moving up and down field freely, getting 3-4 first downs at a pop, and Penn State's having a hard time dealing with their play action game and all that shit, then it's going to be a long day for Penn State. It's just going to be.
Yes, that's where I'm going to agree with you. If Penn State doesn't show that they can keep up, not with the score, keep up in the first half.
They have to punch him in the face early, Penn State, to have a chance. If Penn State's going to have a chance, like first drive, first time Notre Dame has the ball, you got to get them out. If not 3 and out, 6 and out. You got to get them off the field.
It's the
you got to take away their
Drago
confidence.
fight. You have to take the punches in the first 5-6 rounds in order to wear them down and get them in the later round.
And let your defense now be a factor as they're tiring down. You've been smacking
as they're tiring down.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
You're going to have to keep in the game by time of possession.
That's right. They actually have to take a page from like the New York Giants in the 80s against the Bills back then. Don't let their offense get on the field too much. Play keep away. Have long drives. long drives that amount in points. When you have a chance to bury them deep in their zone and make them go the length of the field, do not give Notre Dame short fields. If they give Notre Dame short fields, Notre Dame's going to blow them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and stupid sacks.
Right.
And this is the thing that Penn State does. Penn State, I've been watching. My dad is a huge lover of Penn State. Even bought him the Nittany Lion hoodie, so now he looks like the Nittany Lion on Saturdays. It's on Facebook if anybody wants to go ahead and look
Nice.
at it. Penn State doesn't play smart football. They play crazy, like chunk play.
Because their offense is suspect. That's why they do that. Yeah. They got to get points up. So they do a lot of trick plays. Yep. I've seen them do a bunch of flea flickers and reverses this year. You know,
the center sneak was not
the center sneak was that's actually my favorite.
Center streak.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite, by the way. That was Did you see when they came out in the crazy punt formation and everybody shifted to the left and they just left the center with the punter in the middle? Yeah. That was awesome. I mean, and I like that shit. As a coach, I'm down with that. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, they pick apart the rules, and that's how they put points on the board.
Well, listen, again, if Notre Dame goes up and down field without much resistance in the first quarter,
Penn State doesn't have a shot.
Penn State doesn't have a chance.
Doesn't have a shot.
So Penn State's defense needs to show up early in this game and make a statement that you're not going to push us around. You're going to have a long fucking game. We're going to hit you every time you touch the ball, and this is not going to be easy for you. If Penn State can get that toughness across, because you'll agree with this too, Notre Dame is a little more of a finesse team. They're a little bit more big play, finesse. You know, they like to run their in routes. They like to run their sluggos a lot. You know, if you could take that shit away from every time someone crosses the middle, fuck the rules. Knock him out. Don't let them think they can be comfortable
physical.
In the middle.
You got to be physical. And that showed over the past this past weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4 did not play physical defense.
No, and again, all 4 top teams, like I almost feel bad for Oregon because in the first half of that game, they looked rusty. Like they looked like a team that hadn't played in 3 weeks, you know? Mm-hmm. And in the second half, they completely outplayed them. But the game was so far gone at that point, after going down 31-8 in the first half, that, you know, it didn't matter. They weren't catching them at that point. So by the time Oregon got their fucking legs under them, it was too late. And that's the problem with this 3-week layoff before you start playoff games. This is not fucking soccer. It's football. It's a rhythm sport. If a team doesn't play for 3 weeks, it's going to lose its rhythm. I don't care how good it is. It's still going to take time to get its legs back under it. And Oregon just never recovered in time.
Move the eligibility to 8-9 games. Lower the bowls. Take the bowls out of the tournament. Have your bowl weekends.
I don't mind them having the bowls as playoff games, but
I hate it.
But what they shouldn't be doing, what they shouldn't do, and they do it because of money, because of ratings, is they shouldn't have them be standalone. So while the Orange Bowl is going on with a playoff game, the Stick Up Your Ass Bowl should be being played too. They shouldn't need to stand alone because all your alumni for the Stick It Up Your Ass Bowl are still going to go to that game. All right, you're not going to get the TV rating. Oh, well, you want a good competitive playoff system, though. You can't have teams being off 3 weeks. You just can't do it.
You know, T-Mobile pays for a Stick Up Their Ass Bowl.
That's right. That's right. But
because the ratings.
They have to figure something out. They can't. I know this. 3 weeks off kills a football team. Kills it.
I think you take those bowls out of that. Keep the sponsorship. You know, the Chick-fil-A quarterfinal game. You know, and just like when they do it in March Madness. Oh, they get past a certain point, they hold up a banner. You know, all right, cool. They get them out of there. That bowl, the Fiesta Bowl champions. What the fuck does that mean?
Right.
You won a quarterfinals game. Means absolutely nothing. And let the bowls be played for the bowls. But Change that
Let it be
eligibility
completely separate from the playoff system.
from 6 to 9 or 8, whatever, because now they're playing 14 games. 14 to 17 games.
Right. With a 3-week layoff. Can't
You'll
do it.
minimize that layoff by taking some of those bowl games out.
I agree. But you're asking the big men to give up money, and that just doesn't happen. So, anyway, Mike,
Perfect world.
it's been a good show.
Yes, sir.
Next time we will convene. I expect the Knicks will be in second place.
Maybe first. You never know.
No, they're not catching Cleveland that fast. Cleveland's still winning. I would expect. Well, obviously, we'll know what the playoff matchups are for the first week of the playoffs. We'll talk about playoff bets. We'll talk about, we'll give our picks for the Super Bowl, who we think is going, and we'll get all that stuff done. We didn't talk baseball today because there's really nothing going on. So it kind of stands still now until pitchers and catchers hit the field. The only thing of significance in baseball is Pete Alonso still ain't got a home. But other than that, other than that, there's not much going on. Bregman, too. Bregman is still free also. I would like the Yankees to get Bregman, but there's not much else to talk about baseball-wise. That's in a lull now. Hockey, my team sucks. Your team sucks. We don't even want to talk about that. It's no fun.
My team doesn't stink.
Your team sucks. Your team sucks. No, my team sucks. So does yours, yeah. You might not want to admit your team sucks, but your team sucks.
My team doesn't suck.
Your team does suck.
My team will beat your team up.
Oh, that's good. Let's go in the mud and beat each other up for the basement. Let's see who gets the basement to sleep in. Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, of course you are. You live near Kensington. God damn it. Of course. All right. Well, as always, Mike, we were brought to you by Easy Moving. What's good about moving?
Nothing.
It sucks. Yeah,
Terrible.
terrible. Do it the easy way.
Pay
Sheridan
these guys.
Fairfield. Yeah, it's the worst. But they'll make it easier.
Yeah.
You like that? On you. If you use Easy Moving, servicing Fairfield, removal in New York, for Frank, for Mike.
I do have one more announcement I forgot.
Oh, here we go.
The long-standing Philadelphia tradition was this weekend.
Nobody cares about you stupid mummers.
The Shooting Stars have ended their drought and are fancy first-place
the mummers.
champions.
A bunch of drunk clowns running around Market Street. It's the mummers. The mummers. The mummers. The mummers. Running around
Hanging
the
out with
mummers.
balloons all day for Thanksgiving. Shut up.
Mummers.
Congratulations to everybody down at McIntyre Shooting Stars
The mummers.
for ending that drought.
The mummers.
They will be serenading you soon.
The mummers.
You know what? I don't need this.
For Frank, Turk, and Mike, we bid you a fair adieu, and we will see you next time on episode 30 of the Battle for I-95 podcast.
Which I think I'm winning.
Get the fuck out of here. All right. Go Knicks.
Go Birds.
Fuck the Birds.